Filipino single mothers and their kids in the Philippines. There are plenty of Filipino single mothers. You will find that one out fairly early in the piece when you have anything to do with the Philippines and Filipina girls. Lots of single Filipino ladies with kids. And in most cases the biological father isn't in the picture and doesn't really care very much. It's very unusual to find an involved Filipino father of a child when the couple didn't marry. He sows his wild oats, as all good macho men do, and walks away from anything resembling responsibility. So as a result, you will find plenty of Filipino single mums out there with kids who would love to have a good husband, and more than that, they would love even more to have a father for their kids. Filipino attitude towards illegitimate children. I put that word in inverted commas because I really detest it. I detest its meaning. Legitimate means real or genuine. The word infers that the child is somehow fake, and I can't abide by it. Yet the Philippines tends to use some fairly archaic legal words, and no one really means it that way. I still don't like it. Certainly not these days. Never seen a niece or a nephew or a grandchild treated as in any way lesser because they were not born in wedlock. Kids are generally very loved within Filipino families. The only odd thing I've noticed over the years is that whilst a man may marry or live in a de facto or live-in relationship, they call it, with a single mum, he normally doesn't bond particularly closely with a child that isn't his blood. You will notice and sense that the child is often on the outer and never fully accepted by the new dad. He will do the basics, but the kids he fathers will be his prides and joy and not the other child or children. Australian attitude towards out-of-wedlock kids. Well, this view seems to vary. In our migration agency practice, I see lots of kids being left behind. Lots of Filipino single mums migrate to Australia with Australian men and the kids stay behind with the grandparents. I can't really comment as it is truly none of my business. But I do always smile to myself, and fairly broadly usually, when I do see an Aussie man taking on a child or even multiple kids. So far this month we've had one good man take on 2 kids and another take on 3. And on our Philippines to Australia Facebook group, hint, I see some recent photos from a nice Aussie bloke with his new wife and 2 Filipino kids that he refers to as his kids. I think that's about as fantastic can be. A ready-made family, what could possibly be better? I did the same thing myself, which those who know me reasonably well would already know. When I met my wife Mila, I set my expectations clearly right from the start. I said there would be no step-parents, and that her daughter would be my daughter, and I would expect her to be a mum to my 2 sons. I was, and she was. There was never any question about this. If you want a proper family, you really need to do the same. You will have nothing but a source of conflict if you don't. If either of you gets protective or possessive about my kids, or shows disdain towards your kids. Now, how do Filipino children accept a new dad? I'd love to say that it's all sunshine and flowers and that every Filipino child will run into your arms and love you as their new dad from that moment on. But it has its challenges. It especially has its challenges if the former single mum doesn't insist absolutely that the kids fully accept the new situation. If she tries to continue the former family within the new family, the transition will be slow, or it simply won't happen at all. No one wins when that happens. Marriages require give and take. You change, your spouse changes. That's how it works. Mila and I are vastly different people to the couple of lonely 30-something single people who met each other all those years ago when she was an OFW in Hong Kong, and I sincerely thank God for every one of those changes, as does Mila. If you don't want to bend, then stay single. I mean it. And that means insisting that the kids go along with the adjustment and accept their new life with their new dad has begun. The old life in the Philippines is over, a new chapter and new realities. And I mean the same for any Aussie kids too. My oldest son, he didn't really want anything to change, and if he could have stuck Mila and definitely 9-year-old Remy back on a plane by pressing a button, he would have done so in a heartbeat. But he didn't control that button, and he knew it. Jeremy, who's the Down Under Visa office manager now, many of you will know him, he found he had less jobs to do and more variety of food to eat, so he was happy. And he hasn't changed much either. Will the kids always love you? Will they always appreciate every little thing that you do for them? Do any kids? None that I've ever met. I have 6 kids living here, plus one who's 19 and still acts like a kid. I have one off at college. I have Jeremy, who's too big and ugly to live here now, and he has his own man cave. Yeah, they love me. They know they're fortunate. But they can be selfish and thoughtless, as can any kid. But that's not why you take on kids. You love them unconditionally. That means no conditions. That means you love them even if you would like to throttle them sometimes. They will never love you as much as you love them, and one day they will move on and you will matter even less. But that's the way the world works. But you are doing a good thing, and that's what matters. You do good for the sake of doing good, because that's what doing the right thing is all about. I hope a few more of you can take on a Filipina single mum and her kids. I've never regretted it, and I'm sure that neither will you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it and you would like to subscribe, you can click on the little button down the bottom corner there, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are regular articles on aspects of Australian visas to the Philippines on www.downundervisa.com.au. There's a blog page you can subscribe to. There is a free visa assessment form, and there are regular articles on aspects of Australian Filipino relationships, which you can see on www.FilipinaWives.com.au. If you can please share these articles and these videos on any of the social media that you use, we would appreciate that. Thank you.